Hello, 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 my friends. Welcome to the Oh My Goodness podcast. My name is AJ Smith, she, her. I'm the Joy Weaver, and I am excited to talk to you today about something I get asked about often, which is my sanctuary days. So, sanctuary days are a day or 2 days a week that I'm off of social media. I try to be off of like all electronics, and it's just my reboot time. And sometimes people are like, I can never do that. I can't do that. I, me as AJ, I don't always do it either. Like there's a spectrum here that I kind of want to introduce into the conversation about having social media free days or taking a break or what time apart from things can look like in a way that is shame-free and encouraging you to like ask for what you need and advocate for it, right? Because sometimes we don't even know what we want, but we kind of know what we're craving or curious about. So that's what this question is. Okay, so I came across this idea of social media weekend freeze from Laura Casey, who wrote Cultivate What Matters. And she has, or her book is Cultivate, and then she runs or used to run Cultivate What Matters, and then she sold it. But when I first read it, I was like, that's ridiculous. Why would anybody want time off of social media? Like, everybody's got to be able to contact you. Like, this is part of running a business or doing different things. But then she was talking about just like, how are you showing up? How are you taking care of yourself? What are the rhythms and routines you need? And like that reboot time. And if you think about 100 years ago, we had so much more downtime. Like if you're driving in a car or like on a horse, there's no music unless you sing it, right? Or just how much sound we have at our disposal all of the time. Like if you don't want to sit in silence, you don't have to. There's no need to. And often it's actually a little hard to. And I remember the first time I read it was before I burnt out. And I was like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And then after I burnt out, I was like, she might have a point. And because I wasn't very good at setting boundaries of what my capacity was, because I didn't know my capacity. I wasn't listening to my body in that way. Like I was, but I was like, it's fine. I'll just keep going. Like I'll reboot or like I'll have time later. We'll sleep when we're dead. We gotta hustle. We gotta go. It's kind of like that all or nothing. Remember me talking about light switching a couple podcasts back about especially folks with ADHD. It's either this or it's that. It's very clean, like either or situation. There's no room for nuance. And what I found was that when I allowed myself a break, I felt like I could breathe. I felt like, okay, nobody needs me right now. What do I need? I felt like by putting up that barrier, it allowed me to get more honest versus still holding what everybody else needs or requires and my own stuff. So through the years, I've played with it a bunch. And because, in the past I've done, and I still do markets and festivals, I work on the weekends. And so I try to do my social media free weekends on the weekends. And then I'd have to be like, okay, and also this is happening today and this is happening today. And so I was like, actually, what if I do this on like Sunday and Monday? And that was really nice. And then now oftentimes I'm working on Sundays. So I'm like, I'm going to take Monday, Tuesdays, which feels weird sometimes because it's the start of everybody's week. And they're like, okay, hey, XYZ. And I'm just like, I'm not available until Wednesday. And the truth of the matter is, I don't do this 100%, right? Like sometimes I have a meeting that's in my calendar because it's the only day of the week that works. There's other things that have happened that are scheduled for a Monday or Tuesday, or sometimes a client call is happening on a Monday or Tuesday just because our calendars wouldn't work except for that one time on that one day. And in the past, I'd be like, hey, each week I'm going to feel into it. Maybe I have a sanctuary day on Tuesday and a sanctuary day on Thursday, but then I wouldn't reinforce it and I wouldn't say it out loud. And the thing about boundaries, the thing about asking for what you need is people don't know unless you tell them, which is so rude, right? Why can't people just know what we need? Why can't people do exactly what we want them to all of the time without us having to ask? But that is not how it works. And so we have to practice the skill of speaking up and saying where our boundaries start and end, what we're capable of, how we're going to respond, so that other people know, because people don't know unless you tell them. And that might seem obvious, but it's really not. At least it wasn't for me. And so maybe you're like, yeah, it's not for me either. Like, don't worry. We're all in this together. Like it's all working out again. And I think it was 5 months ago because I was doing it on and off here in Mississippi and trying to kind of figure out a schedule of like, okay, I think it's going to be Monday, Tuesdays. And sometimes I'd announce it. And also, oh, it's in the other room. Oh, no, it's right here. Okay. If you were on the YouTube, you can see this. This is a brick, and it's this gray little device. It's an app called Brick, and the app is free. The device, this little NFC tag brick, you have to pay for it. But what happens is it blocks Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, whatever, TikTok, Instagram, whatever you want it to block, it'll block it. And you have to tap this item, this little brick, and then it blocks it. And then to unbrick it, you have to tap it again. So if you only have one of these, I mean, you should have two. You should have to. I think you should always, just in case, right? You have 5 emergency unbricks. I haven't used any of them yet because I have to. So one stays in my dresser drawer and one stays in my office because sometimes I'm like, I need to focus, but then sometimes I need to send messages. So I'm like, okay, let me unbrick real quick, do the thing, and then rebrick. It has made a night and day difference in me hopping online during my sanctuary days. And so, whether this looks like, because I used to delete them from my phone entirely, I would just delete all my apps. Here's the thing, if you delete WhatsApp, it deletes everything. You don't get any of it back. And I was like, oh my gosh. So, we never deleted WhatsApp again. We just put it on mute. And then Facebook, the rest are pretty good overall. But sometimes then it's like, what's your password? And you're like, oh, I don't know. So I would suggest if you're going to delete and reinstall, make sure you're up to date on all your passwords, because otherwise you got to like reset and do the whole rigmarole, right? But I think sometimes we give ourselves a hard time when we're like, this should be easier than it is. I should be able to put my phone down easier. This is designed to be addictive. Like this phone situation, social media is designed to keep you on as long as possible. And like, this isn't an anti-social media podcast. This is just me acknowledging how much contact people have to us all the time and how that may impact our response on feeling responsible to show up all of the time. I batch my content out for the month. And so I have just come over, we schedule it all out for the month. So everything now till April 30th is going to post every day across my platforms, except for like my personal Facebook, because I got to copy that over and because I can't schedule that out. Facebook, get on it. But there's also there's an ego thing, right? Of I'm needed though. I can't disappear for 2 days, but people need me. But like people need answers. Sure. And once I started being consistent, and I think it was only 3 months ago that I was like, you know what? I'm going to call it. Mondays and Tuesdays are my sanctuary days. They just are. If I have to send a message, I will hop on and send a message and be like, hey, I'm on sanctuary days, but I wanted to send this. Here's why. Here's the information. Or I need this answered because I'm working behind the scenes in my business and da da da. And people understand. And I have people that send me messages and they're like, hey, I'm really sorry. I know it's sanctuary days. If you don't see this till Wednesday, zero pressure, da da da. And they'll say it. And if I'm online, I might respond, but I try not to touch it. But sometimes I can't help myself. And we're working on it. But another thing that happened is I used to have my 1 hour calls for like friends or meetings or just odds and ends, not client work, but other things available to schedule on Mondays and Tuesdays. And in January, I took that off. So you cannot book in my schedule on Mondays and Tuesday. And when I tell you, it felt like a revolution. It felt scary. I was like, people are going to hate me. They're going to be like, why aren't you available? You need to be available here. Because in Korea, I would wake up at 5 a.m. to do calls. I would like go to bed late to do calls. And so I was taking calls at like 9 p.m. Y'all, I don't function after 9 p.m. So sometimes I was like, okay, hey, what's going on? Like, how can I help? And it just wasn't me at my best. And remember, I think I said this last week on the podcast, like, what's good for me is good for my clients. And I've been like saying that over and over to myself, like, what's good for me is good for the people who love me. What's good for me is good for my clients or those who follow me or those who listen. Like, it's a ripple. But if I'm not filling my well, if I'm not taking care of me, there's nothing, there's nothing. And like I have felt, I was at like 95, maybe at like Christmas time, like doing really great, everything good. And I've kind of felt myself dip a little bit to like 85%. Like if we're doing the burnout battery, right? If 30% is like where I was at during burnout, like it was really bad. I'm at like 85 right now. So like still really great. And I feel my edges. Does that make sense? Like I'm pushing myself and not in a expanding my capacity way, but like in a overstretched a little bit in some areas, which I talked about last week in the golden headaches. And so I'm like, hey, what is happening here? And what I'm noticing is that I am not always fully doing my sanctuary days in the way that I desire or said I would do. And so I'm still taking in so much information on those days, or I'm still replying to a lot of stuff when I don't need to. And that has looked like getting better at making a post on Facebook. And soon I'm adding it to my email that I will have an away message on Mondays and Tuesdays in my The Joy Weaver email address that is like, hey, I'm having sanctuary days Monday and Tuesday. If you message me, I will get back on Wednesday. But having that announced out loud for me gives me permission to not. And I also want to say sometimes algorithms are wild things and people don't see it. And I've gotten back on Wednesdays before to like a slew of messages from somebody being like, how dare you? You're such a bad friend. You never respond to my messages. And like, da da da. And I was like, what? What? And I've like responded in the past, but I'm like, what's happening? And they're like, I needed you on Monday and you weren't there. And I was like, I'm so sorry. It was only sanctuary days. Like, I was not online. I didn't see anything. What's going on? How can I help? And they're like, screw you. And I was like, okay. Um, you know, and so we are acquaintances now, but we are not friends anymore. Um, but then other people who know me or clients, they'll be like, I I don't always, but sometimes I'll be like, hey, head out on sanctuary days, send whatever you like. I'll get to it on Wednesday. But sometimes they won't send anything because they're like, I know it's your sanctuary days. I'm like, I'm not touching it. You're good. Send whatever you like. And they're like, no, I'm respecting the space. I'm like, you're allowed to send. Just won't respond. Um, and so you just get a variety of the spectrum of people that understand and people who don't, or people who just don't know that it's actually happening, right? And they're like, hey, I need an answer. And so this also means that if I have something going on Tuesday, like I'm going over to a friend's house, I will hop on Facebook or I'll have their phone number, their email, and I'll be like, hey, I will still be there at 5 p.m. So I usually just double check with people to be like, hey, this is still happening. This is still on. So my invitation for you is, what does sanctuary days for you look like? For me, this is 2 days offline, off people, off all the things as much as possible for me to recharge. I am doing better at being offline. I'm working on making those days filled with things that are nourishing me. So like about half and half. So sometimes they're just a lot of like catch up kind of days, like cleaning the house and doing behind the scenes work, but I want to feel it with more like nourishing stuff, right? But this could look like for you, hey, I don't do phone stuff before noon or before 10 a.m. Or okay, my sanctuary days are in the evening. I have my sanctuary hours. Like I will respond in the morning at 9 or 5 a.m., whatever you like. Or maybe you have 1 day a week. Maybe you try it out 1 day a month. I don't know, but I just want to extend this invitation to try it out because I remember being like, oh my God, that's so impossible. And now I go into my sanctuary days. I'm like, thank the Lord. This is going to be great. I'm so excited. Okay, I'm just gonna like breathe, rest, reset. And then if I check Facebook, I'm like, because the world is worlding. So sometimes you check it and you're like, I should not have checked the Facebook. So sometimes I have to like, I brick or I like delete Facebook because I'm just like, I cannot. But you're allowed sanctuary time, respite time, soul care time. And the world will take whatever we give it, right? Just like in the military, sometimes I talk to incoming military members. I'm like, hey, you don't belong to yourself anymore. You really belong to the military. Like, take care of yourself because the military is not always looking out for yourself. Which some people are like, oh my gosh, this scandalous. I'm like, yeah, it's just true. If you're in the military world, as long as we have been for 14 years, you see what the military can do, and it's rough. But the same thing goes to you, whether or not you're in the military. You have a life, you have people around you, you have work, you have things. Take care of you. Put it in your calendar. Like sometimes people are like, hey, are you free tonight? Like, technically, yes, but it's just a night with my husband. So I'm just like, nope, I'm booked. Thank you so much for thinking of me. Maybe next time. And I just enjoy my evening. So, permission to set the boundaries you need, permission to call it something fun like sanctuary days or spacious days or expensive. I don't know. Play with it. But the question is here, what are you craving? How can you carve out that time and how can you put it on your calendar? And you may need to be like me and make it literally unbookable because you keep crossing your own boundaries and being like, it's fine. Theoretically, yes. And also, you wanted it for a reason. So let's honor our desires in the season of what's fueling us and nourishing us so that we can live in alignment with our higher power and the work we are here to do. Does that make sense? Oh, I love it. So sing your soul song. Have a marvelous day. Let me know if you have any Sanctuary Day questions. Come into Embodied Enjoy. Ask any of the questions. Share your experiences. I'd love to hear. Have a marvelous day, my friends. Bye.